stood at the window of the transport ship and stared at the massive station floating in the darkness of space. Orbital Academy Station Theta 7 looked like a giant wheel spinning slowly against the stars. She pressed her hand against the cold glass and took a deep breath. This was it, her new home for the next 4 years. The other passengers kept their distance from her. A group of insect-like beings with too many legs whispered in the corner. A creature made entirely of blue crystal sat alone, its body making soft chiming sounds. Something that looked like a floating jellyfish drifted near the ceiling. None of them came close to. She looked down at her compression suit. The tight black fabric covered her from neck to feet. Small lights blinked along the arms and legs. The suit was supposed to simulate Earth's gravity. Without it, her muscles would waste away. The station only had 0.4 g of gravity. 2, it felt like floating. To everyone else on this ship, 0.4 g was normal. Earth's 1 g would crush them. "Attention all passengers," a mechanical voice announced. "We will dock in 5 minutes. Please gather your belongings." Picked up her single bag. Everything she owned fit inside it. Her parents had cried when she left Earth. Her mother had held her tight and whispered, "Be careful. Remember, you're stronger than them. Always be gentle." The transport ship connected to the station with a soft thump. The doors opened with a hiss. Stepped into the arrival hall and immediately felt the difference. Her body felt light. Each step wanted to become a jump. She had to concentrate to walk normally. An alien stood waiting near the entrance. It had 4 arms and skin that changed colors from green to purple. 2 large eyes sat on stalks above its head. "Welcome to Theta 7, the alien said in perfect English. "I am instructor. You must be our first human student." "Yes, sir," said. She started to extend her hand for a handshake, then stopped. The instructor had 4 hands. Which one should she shake? Noticed her confusion and made a sound like water bubbling. "That is laughter in my language. Do not worry. I have studied human customs, but here we do not touch for greetings. Many species find physical contact uncomfortable." "Oh," said, pulling her hand back. "I'm sorry." "No apology needed. Come, I will show you to your room." They walked through hallways filled with students, saw creatures of every shape and size. Some walked on legs, some floated, some crawled on the walls. All of them stopped and stared when she passed. She heard whispers in languages she didn't understand. "They are curious," explained. "Most have never seen a human before. Earth has a reputation." "What kind of reputation?" asked. "A frightening one," said simply. "Your planet is classified as a Class 12 death world. The gravity alone would kill most species here. The weather patterns are violent. The native life is aggressive. And humans are persistent predators. Your species hunted prey by chasing it until it died of exhaustion." Had never thought about Earth that way. To her it was just home. "We're not dangerous," she said quietly. "Perhaps not intentionally," replied. "But you must understand. Your body was designed for survival on a hostile world. Here, you must be very careful. What seems like a gentle touch to you could seriously hurt someone else." They reached a door marked with symbols couldn't read. Pressed a panel and the door slid open. "This is your room. You will share it with a female. She is already inside." Stepped into the small room. 2 beds sat on opposite walls. A desk with a strange computer sat in the corner, and on one of the beds sat her roommate. Looked like a praying mantis, but the size of a human. Her body was covered in pale green armor. Large compound eyes took up most of her triangular head. 4 arms folded against her body. When she saw, she made a high-pitched clicking sound and pressed herself against the wall. "Hello," said softly. It's nice to meet you." Clicked rapidly. A device on her chest translated the sounds into English. "Please do not eat me." Blinked in surprise. "What? I'm not going to eat you." "You are a predator species," said, her voice shaking through the translator. "Your eyes face forward. You have sharp teeth. You consume animal flesh." Well, yes, but I'm not going to eat you, said. She tried to sound reassuring. I eat regular food from the cafeteria, I promise. Didn't look convinced. She stayed pressed against the wall. Spoke from the doorway. Poses no threat to you. She has agreed to follow all station rules. Give her a chance. The instructor turned to. Orientation begins tomorrow at 800 station time. Do not be late. And a word of advice. Move slowly, speak softly. Remember that everything you do is by your strength. A playful push could break bones. An excited gesture could become a weapon. You must learn to live small. After left, sat on her bed carefully. The frame creaked under her weight. Even though she weighed less here, she was still dense with muscle and bone. I really won't hurt you, said Tu. I know I seem scary, but I'm just a person like you. Not like me, whispered. You come from a death world. I come from a garden moon where nothing hunts and gravity is gentle. We are not the same. Unpacked her bag in silence. She placed a photo of her family on the desk. Her mother, father, and little brother smiled back at her from the image. They looked so normal, so harmless, but here they would be considered monsters. That night lay in her bed and stared at the ceiling, had turned off her side of the lights and faced the wall, could hear her breathing, fast and nervous. This was going to be harder than she thought. On Earth had been normal, average height, average strength, nothing special, but here she was a giant, a predator, a threat. She thought about her instructor's words, learn to live small. Made a promise to herself, she would be so careful, so gentle. She would show them that humans could belong here, that they weren't monsters. No matter what it took, she would prove that she was safe. She just hoped it would be enough. 3 weeks had passed since arrived at the station. She sat alone in the cafeteria, eating her specially prepared meal. The food didn't taste like home. Everything here was bland and soft, designed for species with delicate digestive systems. Her tray held what the kitchen called human-safe protein, but it looked like gray paste. Around her, the cafeteria buzzed with conversation. Students sat in groups, laughing and talking, but a circle of empty tables surrounded. No one sat within 10 feet of her. She tried not to notice. She focused on her food and the homework displayed on her tablet. Hey, you're the human, right? Looked up. A student stood a safe distance away. She had blue skin and large black eyes. Her body was humanoid but too thin, like she might break in a strong wind. Yes, said I'm Lyra, I'm sullen. The girl shifted nervously from foot to foot. Is it true your planet has water that falls from the sky? You mean rain? Asked. Yes, we have rain. Lyra's eyes went wide. That sounds terrifying. Water just falling on you. What if you drown? Almost laughed but caught herself. Lyra wasn't joking. She was genuinely concerned. It's not that much water, explained. Just drops. It's actually nice. Refreshing. If you say so, Lyra said. She glanced around nervously. I have to go. My friends are waiting, but it was nice meeting you. She hurried away before could respond. Small victories, thought. At least someone talked to her. Her next class was advanced mathematics, was good at math. Numbers didn't care that she came from Earth. They worked the same everywhere. She entered the classroom and took her usual seat in the back corner. Other students filed in, giving her a wide berth. Then Tail entered. Tail was one of the crystalline species. He stood 9 feet tall, his body made of blue-green crystal that chimed softly when he moved. Light refracted through him, creating rainbow patterns on the walls. He came from a wealthy family that owned mining operations across 3 star systems. He saw and his crystal body flashed brighter. Ah, the primitive is here, he announced loudly. Tell me, human, do you understand the concepts we study, or should we start with simpler topics, perhaps basic counting? Several students made sounds that might have been laughter. Kept her eyes on her desk. I understand fine, thank you. Really? Tail moved closer. His voice chimed like breaking glass. How fascinating that a species that only discovered space travel 200 years ago can keep up with civilizations that have explored the stars for. The instructor, a floating gas creature named Professor, drifted into the room. "Take your seats. We have much to cover today." Tail moved to his seat, but not before positioning himself directly in line of sight to the board. His crystalline body blocked her view perfectly. Shifted in her seat trying to see around him. Every time she moved, Tail shifted too, staying in her way. It looked accidental, but knew better. After class, she approached Professor. "Excuse me, Professor. Could I possibly move to a different seat? I'm having trouble seeing the board." The professor's gaseous form swirled. "Accommodation requests must be filed in writing. Submit the proper forms to administration." "How long does that take?" 4 to 6 weeks for processing." Thanked the professor and left. 6 weeks. She would just have to deal with it until then. In the hallway, she nearly ran into Tail. He stood blocking the corridor, talking with his friends. When he saw, he didn't move. "Excuse me," said politely. "The hallway is open," Tail said. "Walk around." Looked at the narrow space on either side of his large crystal body. Walking around meant pressing against the wall or getting very close to him. She waited, hoping he would move. He didn't. Finally squeezed past, making herself as small as possible. As she passed, she heard Tail whisper to his friends, "Did you see how she moved? Like a predator stalking prey. Disgusting." That evening, went to the gym. The station had a special section with Earth-normal gravity for the human maintenance staff. It was the only place could take off her compression suit and feel normal. A man was already there, running on a treadmill. He was in his 40s with tired eyes and calloused hands. When he saw, he smiled. "You must be the student everyone's talking about," he said in Korean. Was so surprised to hear her native language that she almost cried. "You're Korean." "Korean American," he said. "Name's Minyu. I've been working on this station for 8 years, maintenance crew." It's so good to hear Korean." Minyu stopped the treadmill and grabbed a towel. "How are you holding up?" "It's difficult," admitted. "Everyone's afraid of me, and there's this one student who keeps harassing me. Let me guess, wealthy kid, thinks he owns the place. His name is Tail." Minyu's expression darkened. "Tail. Yeah, I know him. He complains about the human staff all the time, says we smell bad, says our presence makes him uncomfortable." He looked at seriously. "Listen to me. These people will never see you as equal. To them, we're monsters who happen to talk. They'll push you and test you until you break." "What should I do?" "Keep your head down. Follow the rules. Don't give them any excuse." Minyu handed her a towel. "And if you need someone to talk to, I'm here. It's good to have another human around." Back in her room, was studying at her desk. She still jumped when entered, but at least she didn't press herself against the wall anymore. "How were your classes?" asked cautiously. "Fine," lied. "Tail was talking about you in the common area," said. Her translator made her voice sound mechanical. "He said you stared at him during class, like you were deciding how to attack him." "I was trying to see around him," said, frustration creeping into her voice. "He was blocking the board." O was quiet for a moment. "For what it's worth, I do not think you are planning to attack anyone. You have been very kind to me." It was the nicest thing anyone had said to since she arrived. "Thank you, that means a lot." That night lay awake thinking about Minyu's words. She had come here with such hope. She was supposed to be a bridge between humans and the galaxy, proof that Earth could integrate with the galactic community. But maybe Minyu was right. Maybe they would never see past what she was. A predator, a danger. She touched the compression suit lying on the floor beside her bed. The suit that held back her strength. That made her weak enough to be safe. But even weak, she was still too strong. Too dangerous. Too much. How small did she have to become before they would accept her? Outside her window, Earth hung in the darkness, blue and green and beautiful. home, where she was just normal where she fit. She wondered if coming here had been a mistake. 5 weeks, had survived 5 weeks at Orbital Academy Station Theta 7, but barely. She sat alone in the communal hall, eating her evening meal. The hall was large and filled with students from dozens of species. Conversations echoed off the walls in 100 different languages. Somewhere music played, a strange melody that hurts ears. She kept her head down and focused on her food. Gray protein paste again. She was so tired of it. Her compression suit felt than usual today. The technician had adjusted it last week, saying her muscle density was increasing. Even with the suit restricting her, her body was adapting to the low gravity, getting stronger, more dangerous. Tails' harassment had gotten worse. Yesterday he had accidentally knocked into her in the hallway. She had barely kept her balance. When she looked at him, he had smiled, his crystal body flashing with amusement. This morning she had found her locker broken into. Nothing was stolen, but her things had been scattered everywhere. She had filed 3 formal complaints. Nothing happened. The administration said they needed proof. Security footage was always mysteriously unavailable. Stabbed at her food with more force than necessary, the fork bent. She sighed and put it down. Even eating was difficult here. She had to remember to hold things gently, to move slowly, to make herself small. "Well, well," a chiming voice said above her. "The sits alone again, what a surprise." Didn't look up, she knew that voice. Tails stood beside her table, his 9-foot crystal body casting rainbow patterns across her tray. His 3 friends stood behind him. Another named, a floating gas being called Shen, and in whose name didn't know. "Eating your carnivore food?" Tail asked loudly. Several nearby students turned to watch. "Tell me, do you miss the taste of blood, of raw flesh torn from struggling prey?" "It's synthetic protein," said quietly. "Same as everyone else eats." "But your kind prefers meat, don't they?" Tail moved closer. "I've been researching humans, such a violent species. Do you know what I learned? Humans had something called wars. Mass killings of their own kind. Thousands dead in a single day. Sometimes millions." His hands clenched under the table. "That was a long time ago." "Was it?" Tail's voice dripped with mock concern. "How long? 200 years? 300? That's nothing. Just yesterday in galactic terms. My species has been peaceful for 10,000 years. But humans, you're still savages wearing civilized clothes." Other students were definitely watching now. The hall had gone quieter, felt dozens of eyes on her. "Please leave me alone," she said. Her voice was steady, but her heart pounded. "Leave you alone," Tail laughed, a sound like shattering glass. "But I'm just educating our fellow students about our new classmate. They should know what walks among them." He began circling her table slowly. "Did you know that humans evolved from persistent hunters? They would chase prey for hours, sometimes days, until the animal collapsed from exhaustion. Then they would kill it while it was too tired to fight back. Isn't that right?" "We don't do that anymore," said. "No, then why do humans still have those predator instincts? Those forward-facing eyes designed to track prey, those sharp teeth meant to tear flesh?" Tail stopped directly behind her. "Why do you still have the body of a killer?" Stared at her tray, her mother's words echoed in her mind. "Be gentle, always be gentle." "And the strength," Tail continued. "Even in that suit you could probably break every bone in its body with one squeeze. Isn't that terrifying, having a predator in our school?" "I'm not a predator," whispered. "No," Tail moved to stand in front of her again. "Then prove it, show us you're harmless." He reached out with one crystalline arm and pushed her tray. Food spilled across the table and onto her lap. The gray paste stained her compression suit. Stayed seated. She didn't move. Her hands gripped the edge of the table hard enough that the metal bent slightly under her fingers. "Oops," Tail said. "How clumsy of me." Took a deep breath, then another. She counted to 10 in Korean. Her grandmother had taught her that. Count to 10 before you react. It helped with anger. Nothing to say, Tail asked. Where are those famous human emotions? I heard your kind cries when upset. Are you going to cry for us? Looked up at him. She met his crystalline eyes, which weren't really eyes at all but faceted surfaces that sensed light. I'm asking you one more time. Please leave me alone. Or what? Tail leaned down, bringing his face close to hers. What are you going to do? Hit me? That would just prove me right, wouldn't it? That humans are violent, dangerous. He straightened up and turned to his audience. You see, this is what happens when you let her into civilized society. They bring their savage ways. He reached down and grabbed her shoulder. Later, wouldn't remember making the decision. Her body moved on instinct. Millions of years of evolution. Hundreds of thousands of generations of humans who survived because they knew when to fight back. Her hand shot up and grabbed Tail's arm. She stood, and in the low 0.4 g gravity, her movement was faster than anyone expected. Tail's crystal body was strong on his, but here, in low gravity against someone from Earth. She pulled him forward and down, used his own height against him. Her other hand found his center mass, and she threw. In Earth gravity, Tail would have traveled maybe 10 feet. Here he flew. He sailed across the 40-foot communal hall. Students screamed and scattered. Tail's body tumbled through the air, spinning, his crystalline form catching the light and throwing rainbows everywhere. He hit the far wall with a terrible sound, not shattering but cracking, deep cracks that spiderwebbed through his torso where his vertebral analog was located. Tail fell to the floor and didn't move. The hall erupted in chaos. Students ran in every direction. Someone screamed for medical help. Alarms started blaring, loud and harsh. Stood perfectly still, she stared at her hands, at what they had done. She looked across the hall at Tail's crumpled form. Medical drones were already swarming around him. Oh no, she whispered. Oh no, no, no. Appeared at her side, clicking frantically. What did you do? He touched me, said numbly. He grabbed my shoulder, I reacted. Security drones descended from the ceiling, surrounding her with red lights and warning beeps. A mechanical voice announced, You are confined pending investigation. Do not resist. I won't resist, said. Her voice sounded far away. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to hurt him so badly. I just wanted him to stop. The drones formed a circle around her, their weapons trained on her. Other students pressed against the walls, staring at her with fear and horror. Lyra, the sullen girl, had tears streaming down her blue face. I knew it, she sobbed. Predators can't change, they always hurt someone. Mean you push through the crowd. Don't say anything without a lawyer. But barely heard him. She was looking at her hands again, her ordinary human hands, the hands of a monster. She had tried so hard to be gentle, to be small, to be safe. But in the end, her mother was right. She was stronger than them, and now everyone knew it. Now everyone knew what she really was. Sat in her quarters alone. The door was locked from the outside. Security drones hovered outside her window. She had been confined for 3 days while the investigation continued. She hadn't slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Tail flying across the room, heard the crack of his body hitting the wall, saw the spiderweb fractures spreading through his crystal form. The compression suit lay on her bed, powered down. They had taken it for evidence. Now she wore simple clothes and her body felt too light, too strong. Every movement required concentration. When she picked up her water cup, she had to remind herself not to crush it. A chime sounded at her door. It slid open to reveal instructor. His color-changing skin was a somber gray-blue. He said, "It is time for your hearing." She stood up carefully, followed him down empty corridors. Other students must have been ordered to stay away. The walls felt like they were closing in. They entered a large conference room. A panel of 5 administrators sat behind a curved desk. Administrator N, a being that looked like a collection of floating geometric shapes, was in the center. N's translated voice echoed. "You are here to answer for your actions 3 days ago. Do you understand the proceedings?" "Yes, sir," said quietly. "You may sit." A chair had been specially reinforced for her. She sat down, keeping her back straight and her hands folded in her lap. "Let us begin with the facts," N said. "On the evening in question, you physically assaulted fellow student Tail, causing severe injury to his structural integrity. His vertebral analog was fractured in 7 places. He will require 4 months of regeneration therapy. Do you deny this?" "No, sir, I don't deny it." Murmurs from the panel. One administrator, a being made of living water, rippled with what might have been surprise. "You admit fault?" N asked. "I admit that I threw him," said, "but there's more to it than that." "Then explain." Took a deep breath. "Tail has been harassing me since I arrived. He blocked my view in class, knocked into me in hallways, broke into my locker, said terrible things about humans and about me specifically. That night he knocked my food onto me. He wouldn't leave me alone, and then he grabbed my shoulder." "And this justified violence?" another administrator asked. "No," said, "but it was self-defense. Where I come from, when someone grabs you aggressively after harassing you for weeks, you have a right to protect yourself." "This is not Earth," the water being said. "Here, we resolve conflicts through mediation and dialogue." "I tried that," his voice cracked. "I filed 3 complaints, nothing happened, no one helped me, no one believed me." "That is a serious accusation," N said. "It's the truth, check your records." Stepped forward. "Administrator, with permission, I would like to show the panel something." N gestured for him to continue. Activated a holographic display. Security footage appeared showing the communal hall. "This is from the night of the incident. Watch closely." The panel watched in silence, saw herself sitting alone, saw Tail approach, heard his words echoing through the speakers. "Mass killings, thousands dead, savages, predator." She saw him knock the tray, saw herself stay seated counting to 10, saw him lean down mocking her, and then his hand on her shoulder. The footage showed what happened next in slow motion. His hand grabbing his arm, the throw, Tail spinning through the air, the impact. "Analysis complete," said. "The footage clearly shows sustained verbal harassment, destruction of property, and physical contact initiated by Tail. Furthermore," he pulled up more files. "These are timestamps from security cameras over the past 5 weeks, 37 separate incidents of Tail harassing." The panel was silent. "Additionally," continued, "I have calculated the force used. Accounting for the low gravity, her compression suit restrictions, and the mass of both individuals. She used approximately 15% of her maximum potential strength." 15%, the water being asked. "Correct, even while being physically grabbed and harassed, showed remarkable restraint. If she had used her full strength, Tail would not have survived." A new voice spoke from the doorway. "May I address the panel?" Everyone turned, stood there, her body trembling. N said, "You are roommate, come forward." His clicks were rapid and nervous. "I am afraid of," she said through her translator. "I have been afraid since she arrived, but I must tell the truth. She has been nothing but kind to me. She moves slowly in our room, speaks softly, asks permission before touching anything. She tries so hard to be gentle." Turned to face. "Tail has harassed me too. Last year, he called me bug and broke my antenna. I was too scared to report it, but reported him 3 times. She followed the rules. She tried to do everything right, and no one helped her." "This is noted," N said. More witnesses came forward. Lyra, the sullen girl, about seeing Tail harass. A maintenance worker reported findings locker broken into. Even Professor admitted to receiving complaints about Tail blocking view in class and doing nothing about it. Finally, Minyu was called. He stood before the panel with his hands behind his back. Minyu Park, N said, "You work in station maintenance. What can you tell us?" "I can tell you that this has happened before," Minyu said bluntly. "Not the violence, but the harassment. 3 years ago, a human technician was driven off the station by constant abuse. 2 years ago, another quit. The human staff members are treated like we're dangerous animals that might snap at any moment. We're watched constantly, restricted, isolated. And when someone like Tail decides to make our lives miserable, nothing happens, because everyone already thinks we're the problem." "That is a serious accusation," N said. "It's a serious truth," Minyu replied. "You invited humans here. You said you wanted integration, but you didn't prepare. You didn't educate your students about what humans actually are. You just let them believe the rumors and the fear, and then you're surprised when something like this happens." The panel deliberated for an hour, sat in silence not knowing what to expect: expulsion, prison, deportation to Earth. Finally, N spoke. "This panel has reached a decision. Given the evidence of sustained harassment, the physical contact initiated by Tail, and the demonstration of restraint on your part, we find that you acted in self-defense. You will receive a formal reprimand and mandatory anger management counseling, but you will not be expelled." Felt tears sting her eyes. "Thank you." "However," N continued, "Tail is hereby expelled from this institution for harassment, assault, and violation of student conduct codes. He will not be permitted to return." Relief flooded through. It was over. But N wasn't finished. "That said, you must understand something. Your actions, while justified, have consequences. Many students are now afraid of you. They saw you throw a 9-foot across a room. You can claim self-defense and you would be right. But fear does not listen to logic. You have become what they always suspected you were: a danger." The words hit harder than any punishment could have. "We have failed you," N said quietly. "We brought you here without proper support, without educating our students, without protecting you from harassment. For that, I apologize." After the hearing, walked back to her quarters with beside her. "Thank you," said, "for speaking up. I know you were scared." "I was terrified," admitted. "But it was the right thing to do. You protected yourself. Anyone would have done the same." But as they walked through the corridors, saw other students press themselves against walls, saw them hurry away, heard whispers following her. "Monster! Did you see what she did?" "I heard she smiled while she did it." Hadn't smiled, but it didn't matter. The story would grow with each telling. She was free, she was vindicated. But she was more alone than ever. 2 weeks after the hearing, stood in the observation deck, watching Earth rotate below. The planet looked peaceful from up here. Blue oceans, white clouds, green and brown continents. She could almost see Korea, though it was too far away to make out details. "Beautiful, isn't it?" Administrator N floated beside her. His geometric shapes shifted colors, reflecting the light from Earth below. "Yes," said, "I miss it." "That is understandable." N was quiet for a moment. "I came to find you because I owe you a more personal apology, not as an administrator, as an individual." Turned to look at him. "What do you mean?" "We brought you here with such hope," N said. "The first human student, a symbol of integration. But we asked you to be less than you are. We asked you to compress yourself, physically and emotionally, until you fit into our comfortable understanding of what a civilized being should be. And then we blamed you when you couldn't make yourself small enough." His shapes pulsed with what might have been sadness. "I watched the footage of that night many times. Do you know what I saw? A young woman counting to 10, taking deep breaths, trying desperately to stay calm while being tormented. You showed more restraint than most species could have managed, and still, it wasn't enough." "I heard him," said, "badly." "You defended yourself after exhausting every other option," N corrected. "There is a difference. I should have seen what was happening. I should have protected you." What happens now? Asked. That is your choice, N said. You can return to Earth with honor. No one would blame you, or you can stay. But if you stay, it will be difficult. Many students fear you now. Look back at Earth. Going home would be easy, safe. Her family would welcome her back. She could forget this place ever existed. But then she thought about Minu's words, about other humans who had been driven away, about the next human student who would face the same challenges. I want to stay, she said. Are you certain? No, admitted. But I came here for a reason, to prove that humans can belong. Running away now would prove the opposite. It would prove that we're too dangerous, too different. You are brave, N said. I'm terrified, corrected, but I'm also stubborn. It's a human trait. N made a sound that might have been laughter. We are implementing new policies because of what happened. Mandatory education on all species physiology, new harassment protocols with actual enforcement. Counselors trained to work with students from high-gravity worlds. It should have been done from the start. Will it help? Asked. I hope so, but change is slow. In the meantime, you will face hostility. Are you prepared for that? Thought about her compression suit, about learning to move slowly, to speak softly, to make herself small. She had been doing that since she arrived. I'll manage, she said. Classes resumed the following week. Entered the mathematics classroom and took her usual seat. The room fell silent. Students stared at her. Some looked afraid, others looked angry. Professor drifted to the front of the class. Before we begin today's lesson, I want to address recent events. Acted in self-defense against sustained harassment. The investigation cleared her of wrongdoing. If any student has concerns about their safety, you are welcome to speak with me privately, but has as much right to be here as anyone else. It wasn't much, but it was something. Lyra cautiously sat 2 seats away from, not next to her, but closer than before. Hi, Lyra said quietly. Hi, replied. Progress came in small moments. No longer flinched when entered their room. A student named Dax asked to partner with on a project. In the cafeteria, the circle of empty tables around her shrank from 10 feet to 5. Minu found her in the gym one evening. Heard you're staying. Yeah, said, running on the treadmill. Seemed like the right choice. Brave choice, Minu said. Or crazy, maybe both. Definitely both, agreed. Got some news, Minu said. Administration approved a new position. Human student liaison, someone to help human students adjust. Someone who understands what they're going through. He smiled. They asked me to recommend someone. I put your name forward. Nearly fell off the treadmill. What? I'm just a first-year student. You're someone who survived what no one else had to survive. Someone who stood up for herself. Someone who stayed when leaving would have been easier. Minu shrugged. Seems qualified to me. 3 months later, stood in the arrival hall, waiting. Her compression suit was properly calibrated now. She had learned to navigate the station's low gravity with grace. She still moved carefully, spoke softly, and kept her strength controlled. But now it felt less like hiding and more like consideration. The transport ship docked, the doors opened, and a young woman stepped out looking lost and scared. She wore a compression suit identical to's. She carried a single bag, and she had the same expression remembered having when she first arrived, the look of someone trying to be brave while being terrified. Approached slowly. Hi, I'm welcome to Theta 7. The girl blinked in surprise. You're human, I didn't expect. They said I'd be alone. You're not alone, said gently. I'm a first-year student here. I've been assigned as your liaison. I'll help you adjust. I'm Sara, the girl said. Sara, is it? Is it as scary as everyone says? Thought about the past months, about Tail, about the hearing, about the fear in other students' eyes, about slowly, painfully earning a place here. Sometimes, she said honestly, it's difficult. People will be afraid of you. Some will test you. You'll feel alone. Sara's face fell. But continued, you'll also find friends. You'll learn things you never imagined, and you'll prove something important, not just to them, to yourself, that you can exist in a place that wasn't made for you, that you can be strong without being feared, that you can belong without becoming small. How do you do that? Sora asked. Carefully said, patiently, with help, she smiled. Come on, I'll show you to your room. Your roommate is a named. She's nice once she gets over being scared of you. How long does that take? For me, about 6 weeks, but I made mistakes. We'll get you there faster. As they walked through the corridors, noticed students watching. Some still looked afraid, some looked curious, and some, like Lyra and Dax, waved in greeting. Sora saw the attention and moved closer to everyone staring. They'll do that, said. Try not to let it bother you. You're new, different, interesting. They'll get used to you. Did they get used to you? Thought about that. Some did, some didn't, but I got used to being here. That's what matters. They reached Sora's room, helped her unpack, explained how the station worked, and introduced her to, who was much better about meeting new humans now. Later returned to the observation deck. Earth hung below, beautiful and distant. Home. But this was home too, now. This station full of aliens who didn't understand her. This place where she had to be careful with every movement, where she had learned that being strong meant knowing when not to use that strength. She thought about Tail, recovering somewhere on his. She hoped he had learned something. She hoped he understood that pushing someone, any someone, too far would eventually lead to consequences. She thought about Administrator N's words. You showed more restraint than most species could have managed. Maybe that was the real lesson. Not that humans were dangerous, but that they could be dangerous and choose not to be. That true strength wasn't about how hard you could hit, but about how much you could endure before hitting back. Pressed her hand against the window, looking at Earth. I'm still here, she whispered to her distant family. I'm making it work. I'm proving we belong. Behind her, the station hummed with life. Thousands of beings from hundreds of worlds, all learning to live together. And now, 2 humans were part of that mix. Soon there would be more. The girl had stayed seated as long as she could, and when she finally stood up, she had changed everything. Not by being violent, but by being strong enough to be gentle, brave enough to stay, human enough to care. She smiled at her reflection in the window, then turned and walked back into the station, ready for whatever came next.